Thank you for being here this afternoon. We'll call this meeting in order. The June 26, 2012 THEC meeting. And we'll ask Ms. Carter to call the roll.
Mr. Bone?
Present.
Mr. Cope?
Present.
Mr. Fry?
Present.
Mr. Hargett?
Present.
Ms. Hayes? Present. Mr. Isaacs?
Here.
Mr. Jarvis? Mr. Johnson? Mr. Kinsey?
Here.
Mr. Lillard?
Present.
Dr. Nixon? Mayor Wharton? Mr. White?
Present.
Mr. Wilson?
I'm a here person.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
All right, great. I want to thank everyone for being here today, and especially those commission members who have taken the time out of their busy lives to give back to the state of Tennessee with regard to higher education. I'm going to call on a motion to adopt the agenda, but what I want to ask is that we change the agenda just a little bit. We have a quorum, and we want to get through the action items before we lose a couple of members before 1:30 or so. So I want to move all the action items up before the reports, system reports, and my remarks and Dr. Roeder's remarks, if that's going to be okay.
So moved. Second.
All right, we have motion second to approve the agenda with the changes that were requested. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right, thank you. We'll just go ahead and begin with our first action item, which is the approval of new academic degree programs. And the first will be the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga Bachelor of Integrated Studies. And this will be done by Ms. Betty Dandridge Johnson.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I direct your attention to tab 1A regarding 3 new academic programs for your consideration today. The first one is the UT Chattanooga Bachelor of Integrative Studies, another program at UT Chattanooga Doctorate of Occupational Therapy, and at Middle Tennessee State University, a Doctorate of Education in Assessment, Learning, and School Improvement. All programs have undergone intense development, rigorous review, and approval, and these programs were presented in detail at the work session this morning, and these programs will assist the state in increasing the number of baccalaureate degree holders, as well as meet the growing needs of occupational therapists, as well as instructional school leaders. The THEC staff recommends approval of these 3 new programs.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, we'll entertain the motion.
I move approval. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the recommendations. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is for post-secondary education authorization of new institutions. And we'll ask Dr. Stephanie Bellard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Dr. Roeder, members of the Commission. I have 1 action item for your consideration today and 1 informational item. The Committee on Post-Secondary Educational Institutions has recommended that the institutions listed in Section 1B1 and the new programs listed in Section 1B2 be granted temporary authorization and approval.
Thank you. Questions? If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. A motion and a second to approve the recommendation. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you.
And for my informational item, on April 26th, the Commission approved the rules recommended by the committee, and the Attorney General approved the rules on July 18th, 2012. As requested by the Governor's Office, the rules, along with responses to a few questions, were sent to the Governor's Office on July 19th, 2012. So once the rules leave the Governor's Office, they'll be filed with the Secretary of State's office.
All right. Thank you so much for that update. All right. We'll ask Dr. Russ Deaton to come up and talk with us about the July 1, 2012 and 13 operating budgets.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Scott Belcher on the staff this morning presented these budgets in detail along with some contextual information. The budgets have been reviewed by THEC staff. Everything is in working order. They do show continued increases in tuition. The trends that we've seen the last few years, shifting from appropriations to tuition, has been arrested somewhat in the 12-13 budget. The budgets also reveal the current capital projects that are funded, as well as expenditures on athletics, things of that nature. Staff do recommend them for approval and transmission to the Commissioner of F&A for approval and comment by him.
All right, thank you. All right, any comments?
Motion to Move for approval.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have motion and second to approve the operating budgets. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you.
Part of the standard process from here is that we send it on to F&A with our comments. There may be some need for technical adjustments in that process, so we will certainly apprise you of that, if that be necessary.
Sounds great. Appreciate that. Our next item, I think Dr. Russ Deaton will present that as well, the master plan for the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga.
Yes, sir. We heard from the architects this morning the presentation in detail of UTC's next master plan. It is exceptionally well done. It looks forward several decades into the future, anticipating enrollment growth and the plans that the campus has to address that growth. It has been thoroughly reviewed, and we recommend it go forward to the Building Commission for their review and approval.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? Second. All right, motion and second to approve the recommendation of the master plan. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you. All right, we'll call on Ms. Penny Shelton to talk with us a little bit about the academic common market policy.
Good afternoon. I have one action item for your consideration today. Agenda item 1E is the new academic common market policy. As discussed in the work session this morning, this policy is a compilation of existing rules, duties, and procedures into one document. Additionally, it clears up several gray areas that have arisen over the years in the student certification processes. Some of those key changes are defining residency proof, creating an appellate process for certifications, and implementing deadlines by semester. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. If not, THEC staff recommend adoption.
All right.
Approval.
Second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you.
If I can, Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank her for her hard work. She overcame her past employer.
That have something to do with Auburn.
Nothing to do with Auburn.
She overcame that as well.
Yeah, she really laid it on thick with us this morning about Auburn for some reason. But all right. Okay, our next item is election of the 2012-13 officers. We'll call on Charles Bone for the recommendation.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that the commission elect as officers for 2012-2013 fiscal year as follows. Mr. White as chairman, Cato Johnson as vice chair, Evan Cope as vice chair, and A.C. Wharton as secretary. Mr. White and Mr. Johnson and Mayor Wharton have been serving this commission well in their positions and are eligible for re-election. Mr. Cope has just joined us and would be appointed to succeed Mr. Mann, who has previously served as vice chair for Middle Tennessee. That would be my motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the slate of 2012-13 officers. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. All right, thank you, and I just want to thank you for the trust and the honor of serving as your chair for another year. Thank you so much.
And we thank you for your great leadership.
Appreciate it. All right, our last action item is the new academic policy. We want to ask Dr. Rhoda to take care of this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. First, I want to say, most teams or organizations will have a 2-minute drill. We're down to a 1-minute drill. So I would tell the staff, I'm impressed. Staff meeting will take on a new meaning. What is before you for your consideration is a new policy on dual admissions. And the background on this is in the materials that we provided. But the Complete College Tennessee Act of 2010 contained a provision that THEC would adopt a policy which would enable campus policies where there would be arrangements between community colleges and universities where a qualified student could be admitted at both the university and the community college simultaneously. And it fits into the transfer pathways and trying to help students succeed. When we did the staff work on this, we informed, we encouraged, we engaged the two systems and campuses and actually provided a template to do this. If you recall, there was an audit by the Comptroller's Office recently. They found that, while it was all well and good what we did, we really had not complied with the legislation and that THEC should have a policy. So That's what is before you. It's a very straightforward policy. It provides that template as a guideline and encourages the campuses to use it. And so we think that's appropriate. So we would now be in full compliance. To date, there are 20-some agreements in place between community colleges and universities, which is exactly the intent of the Act. So that is our recommendation that the Commission approve this policy.
All right. We have a motion.
I'll move it.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion second to approve this new policy. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right. Thank you so much. That's all of our action items, if I'm not mistaken. And so we'll go back to the top.
Trying to get your attention.
Oh, sorry.
There's Dr. Rhoda. Never mind, I
We're gonna have to
apologize,
finish.
Chairman.
That's
Yes,
next.
yes. One more. I'm glad you said that. We need to approve our last meeting, the minutes from April.
I move approval.
All right. All right. We have a motion second to approve those minutes. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right. Thank you. We'll now start with my report, and what I want to do is to basically introduce you to your new vice chairman. I guess you
Wasn't counting on that.
Yeah. We have a couple of new commission members. Our new vice chairman is Evan Cope. He has been appointed to THEC representing the 4th Congressional District. He is a native and lifelong resident of Murfreesboro. He is a partner with the Murfreesboro law firm Cope, Hudson, Reed, and McCrary. Mr. Cope is a graduate of the Webb School in Bell Buckle, Tennessee. He earned a BA in political science from Rhodes College and the GD from the University of Memphis. He is married to Elizabeth Lewis Cope of Chattanooga, a proud graduate of UTK. His parents are Jim and Debbie Cope, also proud graduates of UTK, and his grandfather was Quill Evan Cope, president of MTSU from 1959 to 1969. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate that. And I wanted to take this opportunity, first of all, to thank Governor Haslam for placing confidence in me for this appointment. And I'm really excited about it. Looking forward to working with Dr. Rhoda, all the other commission members, and I'm already super impressed with the staff based on what I've already experienced this morning, and everything I've heard has been outstanding. So I'm really, really excited about the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for being willing to serve. And our other new member is our student member. He is the new student member of the commission representing the Board of Regents system. He is a rising junior at my alma mater, ETSU Buccaneers, working toward the BS in public health with a concentration in healthcare administration. Mr. Jarvis is active in many campus organizations at ETSU, including the Student Government Association and the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life. His hometown is Cookeville. Mr. Adam Jarvis.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to work with everyone in the upcoming years. I appreciate Governor Haslam's appointment to the commission. I've had the opportunity to get to know a lot of people today, and I'm really looking forward to what I can do over the next few years and dive right in and embrace all the knowledge that I've gotten today, and I'm excited about the upcoming year.
Thank you. Thank you for being on board, and thank you for your commitment to serve as well. I have a few more remarks. I want to commend Governor Haslam for convening the UT Board of Trustees, the Board of Regents, and the Tennessee Higher Education Commission, along with THEC, and representatives of the Business Roundtable and Private Higher Education on July the 10th. The presentations at the meeting were excellent for those who were able to attend, describing the challenges being faced by higher ed across the nation in terms of containing costs while increasing student success and meeting economic and community development needs. I want to thank the THEC staff for the role they played in planning the meeting. And Governor Haslam has begun his listening tour across the state. The first roundtable was in my neck of the woods in East Tennessee State a few days ago. And today, the second meeting is in Jackson. We appreciate the governor's direct involvement and deep interest in higher education. I want to thank everyone for earlier, the work session that we had. Excellent presentations. Thank you for that commitment. It was some really good discussion. And at this time, I want to ask our State Treasurer, David Lillard, to brief the Commission on a great new program.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to just briefly say to the Commission that Tennessee on September 18 will once again launch a college savings program in Tennessee called the Tennessee STARS program. You may know that Tennessee is currently one of 2 states in the nation that unfortunately do not have an active college savings 529 program. We had savings program back earlier in the decade that was closed, and also we had the prepaid program that is now closed to new contributions, but we intend to start this 529 program. It is going to be a very good and robust program. We'll have it's a self-directed investment option. Obviously, we have about 16 investment options that are available under it. We've been up and had conversations with Morningstar Rating Service that now rates college savings plans, and they've received it very warmly and very kindly given us various pointers about it. It's a plan that the fees will be low and competitive with even the biggest plans in the United States. The state is supplementing the fees in this plan for Tennessee residents, and so we'll be launching that on September 18. There'll be more details to come, and as a member of the THEC board, and many of you are here in the room today, let me tell you, you'll be on our email list, so look for your emails about this, because they'll start coming around the 1st of September. But we appreciate the support of each of you, and if you have any thoughts or advice about it, we're certainly open to any suggestions and look forward to your support. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that update. That's really exciting. Okay, that's the extent of my report. Dr. Roden.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, guests, welcome. Let me start by thanking the new officers for taking that on as a responsibility. And David, we really appreciate our relationship with you. I mean, Robert, and as the chair, and always being available for those panic calls and I need some perspective type calls, reality check. So thank you for agreeing to serve as chair again, and to the other officers as well. My report will be brief, but I do want to hit a number of items. First, new staff with the commission. Behind me is Crystal Collins, and Crystal has joined us and is working with Russ Deaton in fiscal affairs. She may be familiar to some of you, look familiar. She was with us earlier in 2006 and 7 as a graduate assistant while she was still in the master's program in higher ed administration at Vanderbilt. She left us. She went to Atlanta, was a policy analyst with the Southern Region Education Board, and gained a tremendous amount of perspective and knowledge there. And so we're very glad that you're back with us, Crystal. Victoria Harpool, Victoria is back there, has just joined us. This is her 5th day. A little bit more. Fourth. Yeah. She is working with Katrina Miller in the Race to the Top office. She has a master's degree in history teaching and is working on a master's of public policy in education at Vanderbilt. Just prior to this, she's a data analyst for the National Center for Scaling Up Effective Schools. So very glad that you're with us, Victoria. We've had some other changes among the staff, slight promotions and departures, but I just wanted to recognize those two. A few words about that we've tried to keep you current through the weekly emails, but just underscore some things. We're deeply into the implementation of the Complete College Tenancy Act. We've basically started the second year of implementation. The form it's taking now, and this is a very good thing, and I want to thank all the staff, but David Wright, Russ Deaton, and Jessica Gibbons, who is, I'll tell you about that in a minute. But anyway, it's continuing to carry out the work that we said we would on a number of fronts. David recently convened a meeting of the data type people, institutional research people on the campuses who have to be really informed and engaged in all this for it to work with such high stakes riding on the outcomes. Related to that, we recently convened a meeting of internal auditors from each of the campuses and the system offices, because they are going to be involved in auditing the material that the campuses provide. So I think that's and that actually was a very organic thing that happened, where the request came from at least the system internal auditors for those people to be engaged. So I think that's important. Another area, we are now pursuing a policy or some work, or trying to figure out best practices as it relates to reverse transfer. And that's basically where a student starts at a community college, transfers to a university without earning an associate degree, and then at some point while at the university may have met all the requirements for that associate degree, and would there be a way of awarding that credential? So that made it sound pretty simple, but it's really not. There's a lot of moving parts there. So thanks to UT staff and Board of Regents staff for really embracing this. We're looking for some outside support to help us think through the process and start piloting some projects on that. The third area, as you're aware, we've been very fortunate to attract the attention and support of the Lumina Foundation. This goes back however many years, 4 years perhaps, to the Making Opportunity Affordable. There's an outside evaluation group that met with many of us. Greg, I know you were one of the commission members, maybe others, about our perceptions on how much of an impact has Lumina had in Tennessee. That was kind of a clumsy way of, but that was our series of questions based on that. And of course, we think it's been tremendous. There's just been a lot that we can point to that maybe we'd be doing what we're doing now, but it probably wouldn't be right now. It'd probably be a little further out. And I doubt if it would have the intensity or it has just brought resources to us that I would submit were beyond our reach. It would be reach without them. So, another part of this CCTA agenda has been adult learners. And you saw David's statistics on how that's a defined group. And adults are one of our premium targets of student populations. Well, part of working with adults has been this prior learning assessment initiative that has been around for quite a while, but thanks to, I guess this was the Gates grant through Complete College America, it has taken on a life of its own here in Tennessee. And Jessica Gibson, who has talked at a previous commission meeting about this, now is in Indianapolis at a national conference, was invited to be part of this on prior learning assessment, primarily for adult students. So we have a relationship with the national organization, CALE, which is the Council for Adult and Experiential Learning. That really has taken us places, and faculty and advisors across the state are being trained in how to validate and actually figure out how to award credentials for legitimate professional experience that does equate into academic learning. So one last thing about the race, let me speak to the from the THEC perspective. I believe I reported at a prior meeting that we were engaging in a top-to-bottom review with members of the THEC board and members of the staff. We had a meeting of the executive committee of THEC earlier this week, and now we're at the point of doing a strategic plan. And the gist of what we're trying to capture in that plan is to make sure that THEC and the financial aid programs are in the mix as far as the statewide goal about increasing attainment. So, what is it about the existing programs, whether it's the lottery scholarship or the need-based grant program, or what we still are responsible for in the area of loans? How can those be harnessed and aligned so students are getting the most, maximizing the dollars for the students. They're getting the most out of it. And then the state goal about how can we work toward attainment. So it's an exciting thing. We want to do that. That's the big part of it. But an equally strong, important second part is what is it that we can do to reduce student debt. And the THEC board is just serious, dead set on that. And I think the THEC staff who are in the loans area, primarily, they understand that. They have tried, have done a lot of work in trying to avert defaults, and that's all well and good, but debt is really important. So a lot of things that we're doing on the other side to get students in and out of college quicker is going to obviously reduce the amount of money someone needs to borrow. So that's a big part of it. And the last thing, Treasurer Lillard was talking about the savings program, which is just going to be a tremendous dimension. I have every confidence it'll get up and running. But how do we weave that into the discussion with the THEC programs? And then it goes a little bit broader. How do we weave it into the college access initiatives, the Gear Up programs, the network that Wendy Tabor's a part of. It all needs to play together. So that's my report.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the update. Okay, we're now ready for our system reports, and we'll call on Dr. DiPietro for the UT system report.
Mr. Chairman, and members of the Commission, it's a pleasure to be here today. I thought I'd update you on a few things. We've completed our board meeting, the Board of Trustees of the University of Tennessee, late last month, and there are a couple of key things I think you ought to be aware of there. From the standpoint of UTK, there's going to be a new approach that's been approved by our board for tuition from the standpoint of how you structure tuition around the maximum number of hours that a student enrolls in. And Chancellor Cheek has called this program Take 15 and Graduate in 4. Currently, what we have is a maximum tuition ceiling right now on a 12-hour model, and he asked the board for approval. I fully endorsed it, moving to a 15-hour model. It used to be the norm. People would take 15 hours a semester or maybe more. I can recall taking 18 hours and another semester at 20 hours. And, if you don't take 15 hours a semester, it's pretty hard to get 120 hours in and graduate in 4 years. So we're trying to influence completion by saying take 15, pay for 15, take 15, graduate in 4. The other part of this package will be an approach that advises the student and the family that the increases on tuition will be within a bracket or a limit. So there'll be a ceiling on what we would do over that same 4-year time frame. And in tandem with that, if you end up in a 5th year, then you're subject to wherever the market is on tuition from the standpoint of the adjustments of other classes that have come on board. So the guarantee is for the class that we admit in 2013, or the approach. And we wanted to get this approved this year at the board meeting in order to be able to implement this fall as people apply. And so the students who apply will know that it's a new game, it's a new approach. We think that there's a rationale here for a lot of reasons. It'll make us more efficient, hopefully, and it'll improve Knoxville's graduation rate. We think we can graduate more students per unit at a time if we don't have people in the 5th and 6th year. Dr. Fox has done a really interesting study that says that if you complete in 4 years as opposed to 6 years, you actually have a higher starting salary once you get out of undergraduate school. I think it's some $7,000, $8,000, maybe $9,000. So we think this is a new approach. We've asked our other chancellors that have undergraduate programs to take a look at this model. We're not sure at the regional campuses whether it will work or not. Knoxville's relatively unique, as you all know. So we're looking forward to implementing that. We think it's a good move. I think there are other ways to, and I said this tongue-in-cheek at the board meeting, but I really believe it, there are other ways to incentivize students to complete in 4. It might be that in Knoxville we improve their parking options as they get into their junior year. There were people who laughed at that, but in reality, young people respond to a lot of different influences, and particularly if the tuition is being borne by the parents, from experience with my own children, as opposed to the student, things like that might help them, or earlier registration, better attraction to the courses, better seating at events at the arena, whatever. So we're going to be looking at that at all of our campuses because completion is obviously very important. They also approved our strategic plan that we've been working on for a year. It has 5 key strategic goals that I'd share with you. Across our system, we're going to be enhancing educational excellence. We're going to be expanding our research capacities. These are the major goals. Fostering outreach and engagement, ensuring effectiveness and efficiency, and advocating, of course, for higher education and our system. We have a retreat planned with our board in the next month, and it'll be focused on the future of higher education. And I would encourage you, there's a website that's called Epic 2020. You can Google it, and it's a very intriguing approach to where these individuals think higher education will be in 2020. And I think if you look at disruptive innovation and how it impacts manufacturing or industry, higher education is at that crossroads too. So we'll be bringing in Ellen Chafee. She works with AGB, Association of Governing Boards. She's a futurist from the standpoint of looking at higher ed to our retreat with our board. And our focus will be on not only where we need to be and where we're going and how we need to make adjustments to cope with that, But also, we will do some presentations around technology that we're already driving into our system, because what's disruptive is the advancement of technology. That's the disruptive innovation that's putting us in a predicament. I mean, go online. You can take a lot of open source courses right now. You can get a badge for that course. You can't get a degree, depending on whether you're enrolled or not at an institution. But you can take everything from calculus to physical chemistry online from places like Stanford, places like Harvard, places like Yale, places like the University of Chicago. So we're in a changing environment about the delivery of what we do. And so we thought it would be good to engage in a conversation at the retreat about that. And there may be benefit to this board or commission having a chance to think about that too in the future, because I do think it's really changing and it'll be challenging. And the EPIC website is very thought-provoking, because what it really makes you do is, can we respond in the proper way to disruptive innovation around technology and delivery of education? Lastly, last couple things, I would tell you that our staff and faculty are very grateful for the support of this commission from the standpoint of the salary adjustments that have been made from the standpoint of the across-the-board recommendation. We've also got an employee engagement survey that we've completed, because we're striving to be a preferred workplace, and we're trying to look at where we need to do better, where our employees feel that we aren't doing as well as we should, and we'll be getting those results out as well. We have a search that's underway from the standpoint of naming a search committee at University of Tennessee, Chattanooga for a chancellor. We have sent those letters out within the last 24 hours to the search committee members, and we'll be getting those people together hopefully in the early part of next month. And we're very excited about the higher education review that the governor's initiated. I thought that was a good session a week or two ago over at governor's residence. And I think it's an exciting time to be in Tennessee. And again, we appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Questions?
All right. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing how that works with us.
Yeah, so are we.
Yes. Yes. Great. Okay, Chancellor Morgan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'll try to be brief as well, but there are several things I just wanted to update you on. A couple of personnel items first. This is, I think, our first meeting to have our new president from Tennessee Tech with us. Dr. Phil Oldham is here. Phil, stand up, wave, and all that. An incredible find for us. I think he's already doing a great job and will do a fantastic job. I felt really badly because we did steal Phil from the University of Tennessee system. Got over it very quickly.
We applaud your choice.
But it's a great fit, and really I think Phil will do an outstanding job at Tennessee Tech. Another personnel change, many of you may know this, some of you may not. Dr. Paula Short has accepted a job and has started July 1st with the University of Houston as a distinguished professor of education, and is establishing an institute for performance policy research and evaluation. Kay Clark has graciously been willing to step in on an interim basis as our Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs. So bad news is Paula left. Good news is that Kay is there to step in and can continue to lead that aspect of our organization in a very, very capable way. So I don't think we will suffer any lack of momentum and continued forward movement. Now, I have to tell you, probably if you ask Kay, if he knew now what, or if he knew then what he knows now, about a month ago, he might or might not have been willing to take this job. But I'll get to that in just a minute. A couple other things I will share with you about searches. We're engaged in a search right now at Roane State. In fact, the second meeting of the search committee, I believe, is a week from tomorrow, maybe. This is the first search that we're undertaking pursuant to the new provisions of law. A statute passed with UT and one of our regents, Tom Griscom, and others worked on this session that allows for information about applicants to remain confidential until the time that a group of finalists are named, at which time the finalist information becomes public. We believe that this will enable us to attract even stronger pools of candidates for our jobs if people can make or at least pursue, explore opportunities before they have to disclose to their home campuses and home employers that they might be thinking about a different opportunity. So it'll be interesting to see how this works. We're kind of feeling our way through it. It does create a little bit difference in terms of process and the way that our search committees will function. Historically, our search committee meetings have been open meetings. It's not compatible with the opportunity to keep information confidential to have open meetings, so it'll be a somewhat different process. But so far, I think it is proving to be beneficial, and I think we'll see that it is a very positive change as we go forward. Second search that we'll do under this new environment, in this new environment, will be Tennessee State University. We will name a committee for TSU sometime, Monica, I think next month, toward the end of next month, and really begin the process then of searching for a new president of Tennessee State. We have advertised that position already. The search firm, Greenwood Asher, is a firm we have under contract that helped us with East Tennessee and with Tennessee Tech, and will also help us in our search for Tennessee State University. Just to spend a couple minutes and kind of bring you up to speed on what we know about the issues around the grading discussion at TSU. Several weeks ago now, there was some allegations that were made public in a somewhat unusual way, but nevertheless made public about the potential that administrators at Tennessee State University had ordered grades to be changed on behalf of 100 or so students. We take that very seriously and have begun the process and are well underway in terms of process of really trying to figure out what happened, why, and determine if there was anything done that was not appropriate and not consistent with good practice. And I will tell you, thus far, we have seen nothing to suggest that there was anything inappropriate that took place. The circumstances, and I won't get into all the details with you, but just the circumstances were such that one of the changes in the Complete College Act that I personally think was the right change is to move away from developmental and remedial instruction at our four-year institutions. So what that has meant is that our four-year institutions have had to find a different way to deal with students who present themselves with some need for further development or remediation in particular subject areas. Math typically is the area where we find the largest need. So the four-year schools have all been busy developing approaches to that and piloting these ideas before the actual cutoff occurs. Is it this fall that they no longer can offer any kind of developmental or remedial instruction in those types of classes? You can offer that instruction, but not classes that are designed for remediation or development. So we've had pilot projects being developed, pilot approaches being developed, and that's what happened at TSU last fall. Was they, for the first time, implemented a learning support type program where students were enrolled in the credit-bearing math courses with the opportunity for support, learning support, to help them build their skill levels to a point of being successful in those classes. As with the point of doing pilot programs is that you kind of find out how it works. and you have the ability to see what works, what doesn't work, what needs to be adjusted, tweaked, or so forth. And in this case, apparently, based on what we know so far, there were a number of students that were given incompletes because they didn't fully access or access the learning support part of this mathematics pilot course. There were an unusually large number of incompletes. That caused some conversation to take place, I think, from students to their faculty members as well as on campus. It was discovered, we believe, that the approach they had used in assigning those incompletes really was not consistent with our policies, what we call A100 of the Board of Regents policy that sets up the expectation that developmental and remedial courses will be redesigned and new approaches will be developed for those. Make a long story short, once it was discovered that maybe it hadn't been done right, the math department and the learning support committee that was managing the pilot went back to faculty members, asked them to grade the students based on their performance in the course, and of the students who took the course with learning support available to them, a significant majority of those students had actually passed all the requirements in the credit-bearing course. So the faculty went back and assigned grades to their students based on the work that they did in the actual credit-bearing course. That's what we think transpired, but to make sure, we've asked the internal audit staff at TSU, working under the supervision and cooperation of the system-wide internal audit office in the Board of Regents, to go in, take a look at exactly what transpired, talk with the people that were involved in that, bring to us a report that really lays out the circumstance so that everybody can see what happened and why. In the meantime, as this discussion has unfolded in the press, the Senate Higher Education Committee of the Senate Education Committee that was appointed right at the end of the session this past year determined that they would meet, convene a hearing to discuss this circumstance. They will do that. It will be on, I think, August 13th is the date, probably around 12:30, if I recall correctly, on August 13th. They will have a hearing and take up this circumstance. We anticipate the internal audit work will be done, will be presented to that committee, and we'll see, kind of see how it transpires from there. So the kind of the takeaway is we think everything's okay, but we're looking at it carefully, we're taking it seriously, and we will fully participate in the Senate committee's review of this and hope that it will resolve all the issues that are outstanding concerning that. A couple other real quick, any questions about that from anybody before I move on? If not, a couple other things I'll mention to you. This is a season for breaking ground. Lots of activity going on in capital projects in our system. In fact, tomorrow, the Allied Health Building at Ball State, there'll be a groundbreaking ceremony at 8:30 tomorrow on the Ball State campus. Any of you who happen to still be either from the area or will still be in town, we'd love to have you join us for that. But that's in addition to Agriculture Biotechnology Research Building at Tennessee State. The groundbreaking was in June. The Smyrna campus expansion of Motlow was also a groundbreaking that occurred in June. Roane State, Oak Ridge campus of Roane State Community College, a significant expansion there was last month, as well as in May, the small insignificant project at MTSU, the Science Building, was groundbreaking there. Huge project, really an exciting prospect. When you look at that building, look at what it's going to be, I think it's really phenomenal. Austin Peak Math and Science Building groundbreaking will be next month in August, as well as a pretty major parking facility at ETSU, Adam. That's scheduled, I think, for August 9th, groundbreaking. So we're very pleased and thankful for the help that this commission has given us to get those projects going. The funding that the governor included in his budget, together with funding that had been made available for the special community college projects, we're putting to good use and are quite excited about the opportunity to meet some of our space needs in a very meaningful and effective way. And we believe in every case what we're doing will lead to really enhancing our ability to be successful as we seek to educate more students. One other thing I will mention, and then I promise I'll stop talking. Well, I don't promise, but I'll try to stop talking. Dr. DiPietro talked about technology, the use of technology, and really how it does have the potential to disrupt kind of the norm in our educational setting. One of the things that we have done in our system, and this has nothing to do with me, but for several years, Dr. Robbie Melton from the Tennessee Board of Regents has been heavily involved in the use of mobile technology, smart technology, iPads, iPhones, other kinds of smart technologies in a college setting, particularly around instruction. And in fact, our system has some actually quite a bit of national recognition because of the work that she has led and the work we have done on many of our campuses to extend the use of that mobile technology in an educational setting. We've decided, and we presented this to the board in our June meeting, to try to take that and really expand it beyond teaching and learning activities, but more effectively using technology across the whole range of activities on our campuses. So we have now created an Office of System Mobilization and Innovation that will be looking to exploit opportunities to understand best practice, what others are doing in terms of the innovative use of technology in the overall operation of higher education institutions. One of the things we know, one of the things that the Complete College Act and the work that has been done around Complete College Act has reinforced for us is that student engagement is a key to student success. So looking for ways to connect students with our institutions, with the activities that we want them to be engaged in around our campuses, using technology to try to promote that student engagement, using that technology to help make the business transactions with our institutions easier, registration, other kinds of business transactions, and so forth. We think there's a real opportunity to achieve some significant benefit through the use of that kind of technology. So at some future commission meeting, I hope to be able to bring Robbie here and talk about what's going on and what we're doing, because it's really quite exciting, just in a lot of different ways. One last thing I'll mention to you: we have been fortunate to, or really happy to host the first two of the governor's roundtable discussions. Dr. DiPietro referenced the big meeting we had a couple of weeks ago, which I too thought was a great opportunity for all of us. He has now done two of his business roundtables, the first at Northeast State, the second was this morning at Lambeth. Don't know the details yet of the Lambeth discussion this morning, but early indications are it went pretty much like the one at Northeast went, and that is the employers there were generally pleased with the quality of our higher education outputs in Tennessee. They just want more of them. It's really not about gaps in skills and development. It's more about just not enough graduates in various areas to fill the jobs that they have. So that's good. I mean, what it does is it reinforces for us this kind of the whole idea that it really is about increasing the number of credentials and focusing on completions in order to meet the needs of the state's economy. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I will in fact be quiet.
Thank you for that update. Appreciate it. All right, we're now ready for our first informational item. We'll ask David Wright to present the Tennessee Education Lottery Scholarship Annual Report. Actually, it's Oh, I'm sorry.
Dr. Thomas Stanford.
No problem. Thank you, Dr. Rhoda, members of the Commission, and Chairman White. I'm here to present to you the 2012 Tennessee Education Lottery Scholarship Fact Book. Just kind of an overview of this fact book. I will tell you we had hoped to have the fact book in your folder for you today, but we are still waiting on final data from 2 institutions. So what we had to do throughout the report is put in the previous year's data so that you can get a comparable understanding of what's going on. Additionally, there's also in your tab a copy of the report that we presented in April that compares states' lottery scholarship programs and the differences and the similarities between those programs for your reference. So, we are required by statute to analyze and do research on data concerning scholarship and grant programs, including TELs, examining things like student success and student renewal, scholarship renewal. And so that's what this report does. It's an annual report that we publish. And the intent this year is we provided more trend analysis, and we also looked at some things in terms of completers and renewals versus non-renewals to give you a better sense of how these students are progressing. I should also make a couple of notes. Again, that we are missing data. We're using data from previous year for 2 institutions. Additionally, all the dollar values that you see throughout the report are presented in nominal value. They are not real dollar values, so they're not adjusted for inflation, which, if they were adjusted for inflation, it would widen the gaps that you'll see. So an overview of what we're going to go over is the overview of the program, scholarship renewal rates and trends, graduation rates and trends, and retention rates and trends of those that renewed with the award and those that did not. To begin, I just thought I would provide you with an overview of the reserve account on the lottery scholarship program. As you can see, it's declined since its peak in fiscal year 2008 of $471 million. The biggest drop occurred in between 2007 and 8 in fiscal year 2008-9. $100 million was transferred out of the lottery scholarship reserve account, $90 million to cover the energy efficient school initiative, and $10 million to TSAA. So that's the biggest occurrence of the drop. And ever since then, it's remained relatively stable, although we were projecting initially declines in the out years. This shows you the percentage of average tuition and fees at a public institution that a typical HOPE award covers. The maximum HOPE award covers. And what you can see is at its peak, the maximum HOPE award covered about 78% of the average tuition and fees at a Tennessee public institution. And that has declined in the most recent year to about 57%. So it used to have much more purchasing power than it does currently. We also see that those are similar across both sectors of higher education. In the early years of the program, the award amount actually increased from $3,000 to $4,000. So you can see that increase in the early years. The decline, the scholarship amount has actually remained stable since then on a semester term basis. But the increase in tuition and fees has really diminished its purchasing power for students over time. This slide shows you the percentage of all first-time freshmen, eligible first-time freshmen by system that received a lottery scholarship program, or a lottery scholarship. And so what you'll see is that across all sectors of public institutions, about 70% of our first-time freshmen receive some form of TEL scholarship. So this is a wide-reaching program. It's affecting a lot of students and their families. It's playing an important role in their higher education finance package, and that ranges from a high of 94% at UT campuses to a low of 44% at Tennessee TBR community colleges. This slide shows you what percentage of the students that qualify for TELs qualified based on the qualification types that they met. So, for instance, 60% of first-time TELS students qualified under both criteria. So they met both the high school GPA, which was a 3.0, and a 21 ACT when they qualified for a TELS award. Now, that's important because these students are the most likely to be successful. So 6 out of 10 of our students are in the category of the population that's most likely to be successful. The group on the top, the light blue, is the group that qualifies on ACT only, and it's only about 13% of our students. So these are students who were not able to maintain a B average over the course of their high school experience, but qualified because they hit a cutoff score on the ACT of at least a 21. And what we'll see throughout the presentation is these students traditionally or historically do worse than these other two populations. This shows you the median family adjusted gross income by system for the fall freshmen from 04 to 2011. And I think something really important to put out here is that, again, these are nominal dollars. The median family adjusted gross income has actually declined over time by about $8,000. So in addition to the TELS award losing its purchasing power, our families are also experiencing declining income. And so it's becoming more and more of a burden for them to finance their education. Some of that may be made up through institutional scholarships or through outside scholarships or through student loans, but their purchasing power is diminishing. But I also wanted to point out that the average median family adjusted gross income across all programs, across systems, is about $63,000. This shows the same information but broken out by scholarship program. And so when you break it out by program, you see actually that one program did experience an increase in median family income over time, and that's the GAMS program, which is the most academic rigorous. In order to qualify for GAMS, students have to meet a 3.75 GPA and a 29 on the ACT. So these students are highly academically prepared compared to the other populations, and the rest have declined over time.
Thomas, so what you're saying is that those students or families where the median income
has increased over time. Yeah. The next section of the presentation looks at scholarship renewal, and I want to make sure I am distinct and clear about the difference here between renewal and retention. Students, this only encompasses students who had the scholarship as a freshman, came back as a sophomore, and still were on the scholarship. So these students may have come back, other students may have come back for their second year and not had the scholarship intact, so we're only looking at those that came back and had the scholarship intact in their second year. When you look at one-year renewal rates by system over time, I think an important finding here to just descriptively to see is that the renewal rates have gone up over time, which is an encouraging sign. So more and more of our students are keeping the scholarship after 1 year from the beginning of the scholarship program in 2004 to 2010. And about two-thirds overall that begin with the scholarship as a freshman keep it going into their second year. When you look at it based on the qualifications that they met as first-time freshmen, students that meet both criteria, that meet the high school GPA and the ACT requirement, about two-thirds of those students go on to keep the scholarship going into their second year. When you compare that to the ACT-only group, about half that many go on to keep the scholarship in their second year. So we're finding a lot of these students, and they're not keeping the scholarship. 70% of them that qualify on ACT only are not keeping the scholarship in their second year. This breaks it out by scholarship program type again. As you can see, GAMS, these are students that are highly prepared again. Their renewal rates are very high. They seem to maintain the minimum renewal requirements of a 2.75 GPA in college. And if you kind of just consider this, they're stacked in terms of the academic requirements of these programs. So in terms of GAMS has the highest academic requirements, Hope and Aspire have the same academic requirements, and Access has the lowest academic requirements. Now, Access and Aspire are also only for students with adjusted gross income of $36,000 or less. So, but in terms of academic qualifications, it gives you a nice sense of the more rigorous and the more prepared these students are, the higher likely they are to succeed. Obviously, that's not accounting for other factors, but just in a purely descriptive sense. These next slides go together, and so I'm presenting this one as a reference for you just to kind of get a gauge of. This looks at the median family adjusted gross income of those students that renewed the scholarship. And what we're about to compare it to by program, what we're about to compare it to is the ones who did not renew. So you'll see here, just kind of try to ballpark the numbers so that when we switch the slides, that this shows you those that did not renew. So there's not much difference in GAMS, but let me place the numbers up here. Across all programs, it's about a $16,000 difference in family adjusted gross income over compared for the group that renews versus the group that does not renew. So a big drop in family income, median family income, and this is a pattern that we'll see throughout the presentation. One note, there is a difference in the Aspire and the Access, but as I mentioned, those are capped at incomes of $36,000, so the differences will never be as great. This section, we look at 5-year graduation rates for TELS and TAC. Now, traditionally at THEC, we report 6-year graduation rates, and the reason here that we're reporting 5-year graduation rates is because scholarship students are only eligible to retain the scholarship for 5 years. And so to give a fair comparison of those who graduated on scholarship versus those that don't, we wanted to give you a 5-year look at their graduation rates. We'll also look at 6-year graduation rates here in a minute, but this is strictly to compare those who stayed on TELS the entire time while they were in school versus those that did not. As you can see, the 5-year graduation rate across all the programs in fall 2006 was about 34%, which is a slight decline from the previous year of 36%. An important new development was for the first time UT campuses, their 5-year graduation rate with students with scholarship intact was actually higher than TECUA's for the first time. So this shows it broken out by scholarship program again. Again, GAM students have a much higher graduation rate with the scholarship intact versus the overall graduation rate of 34%, almost double. And again, access students who have the lowest scholarship requirements and also have the most need have the lowest graduation rates with the scholarship intact. So even though these students haven't graduated within 5 years, only 7% have graduated within 5 years, more of these students may graduate further on. This is just a 5-year window snapshot that we're comparing. When you look at based upon the qualifications that they met, again, the same patterns that we emerge that we see with retention rates. Those that met both criteria have much higher graduation rates than those who met only one of the 2 criteria, almost double either high school GPA or ACT. And again, we just think this adds validity to the fact that high school GPA is a measure that is tracking 4 years worth of experience. These students have had 4 years to prove their ability to succeed in high school. And so we're not surprised that that has the lowest retention and graduation rates compared to somebody who just comes in and takes an ACT test on one day and happens to hit a 21. So this is looking at median family adjusted gross income by scholarship type again, of those who graduated within 5 years with the scholarship intact, and we're going to compare that again to those who did not graduate within 5 years. And the differences in the most recent years. So across all programs, it's about a $19,000 median family adjusted gross income difference between those who graduated with the scholarship intact and those that did not. Even in the most rigorous high school qualification program, GAMS, there's a $14,000 difference in the median family adjusted gross income. So these students are all highly prepared. They're all mostly at 4-year institutions, and we see a difference in their socioeconomic status between those that retain and those who don't after 5 years. So now we're looking at the traditional 6-year graduation rate for all TELS recipients. Now this will include students who did graduate with the scholarship intact and those that did not as well. When you look at it by just a 6-year graduation rate, the UT and TECUA systems are essentially equal, and they both exceed the statewide average graduation rate. An important note here for us to point out was that TBR community colleges, the students who started with TELS at TBR community colleges, their graduation rate is almost twice what the normal graduation rate is for a TBR community college student. So there's something about these students that's different. It's something that we should be engaging in and trying to discover and trying to learn more about and supporting these students throughout their process. When you look at it again by scholarship type, again, no surprise, GAMS is far and away has the highest graduation rates within 6 years. We also wanted to point out that there is a difference of 20 percentage points between the Aspire and Access programs. And aside from some slight distributional changes in the schools that they're attending, more Access students are likely to go to community colleges and Aspire, but not by a significant percentage. These 2 programs are essentially the same in terms of they're for students with low economic status, but their academic qualifications are different. And so that difference in academic qualifications, we think, is primarily feeding through this 20 percentage point difference in 6-year graduation rates. Again, when you look by qualifications met, students that met both criteria graduate within 6 years at about 67%, which is higher than the statewide average, and ACT only is lower than the statewide average. Again, we just wanted to contrast for you those that graduated within 6 years and those that didn't by median family income. So overall, about a $20,000 median family adjusted gross income difference across all scholarship programs, and even in GAMS, which is, again, very surprising, at least to me, that there's that big of a gap, a $26,000 difference between those that actually graduate within 6 years and those that don't. These next tables are some of, I think, the most interesting that we have for you to look at. And what we tried to do was give you a sense of how students qualify for TELs in terms of their high school GPA and ACT, and whether or not they were Pell eligible. And so we're trying to control for socioeconomic status in a non-inferential way, and also control for their academic qualifications that they met. And so one of the things I want to point out here is that we've said this before, but you can see it very clearly here, is that high school GPA, there's less variation in high school GPA of a student's probability of success than there is based on their ACT score. So for instance, if you look at a student who scored, had a 3.75 or above on their high school GPA, it doesn't really matter what ACT score they got, 17 or higher, they're within the 80% range of probability of graduating. But if you look at a student who scored a 29 or above on the ACT, across high school GPA ranges, it ranges anywhere from 50 to 88%. This is the same chart just looking at Pell eligible students. And really what we want to do is show you the difference between the graduation rates between these two populations. So the curve is there just to show you an area where this is where the majority of students reside within the scholarship program, just based upon the rules. It also is where our numbers are the largest. We do have some small numbers. But across the board, we highlighted everything in red where there was a 10 percentage point difference or more. And it appears that, for the most part, it's safe to say that there's at least a 10 percentage point difference controlling for socioeconomic status and graduation requirements, or that socioeconomic status is feeding into their probability of graduating. So we also broke this out by four-year institution, and we saw the differences. There were slight percentage point differences, but not enough to pull it out separately. So controlling for the sector that they enroll in, controlling for their academic qualifications at the time of enrollment, we see a difference by socioeconomic status and their likelihood of graduating. So now we just have a few slides looking at the college retention for scholarship recipients who did not renew the scholarship over time. What we see is that across all sectors, 63% of the students who had the scholarship and then lost it continue on with their education despite losing the scholarship. So these students are still making this decision for the most part to continue in school despite losing the scholarship. And obviously we think the percentage would be higher had they retained the scholarship, but the overall state retention rates are 72%, so it's lower but not significantly lower than what we would expect. When you look by scholarship type, we just thought this was interesting that they're all pretty tightly grouped together, the retention rates across programs, so there doesn't seem to be a real difference even across programs. There's something about these students who are not retaining that is very similar, and we hope to do a little bit more digging and discover what that is that maybe would help inform lottery scholarship eligibility rules or criteria. And again, when you look by how they qualified when it comes to whether or not they retained after they lost the scholarship, there are not big differences in the students' retention rates. And with that, I'll answer any questions you may have.
Do you, could you go back
Sure.
slide? Yeah. One more, yeah. Do you have that based on ethnic demographics?
We don't have it in the presentation, but I can certainly break it down and give it to you. Yeah. It is broken out in the report. And as soon as we get that final data, we'll be getting that out as soon as possible.
Okay. Questions? Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. And the obvious is that the more experience we have with the scholarship and our own data, the deeper we can dig. And Thomas is exactly right. The whole purpose of this is to inform, figure some things out that we might be able to do better.
Definitely. All right, we're ready for our next item, the first to the top update. We'll ask Ms. Katrina Miller to provide the update.
Thank you, Chairman, Commission members, and Dr. Rhoda. The Race to the Top program is at $501 million program that Tennessee won to change the way that we educate our students in Tennessee and reform education from the pre-K level through higher education. Just to give you a little bit of background, THEC administers 9 of the programs through Race to the Top, and for a total fiscal amount of $23 million. Some good news is that we just wrapped up a 2-year audit on all of our programs with no recommendations and no findings. So a perfectly clean audit, which we were really excited about. We also just wrapped up an audit and a program review by the Federal Department of Education. All of our programs were considered a green status, which means they're meeting all of their deliverables on time and all of our financial implications are good. So we're really excited about the progress of the proposal. That's not true for all of the Race to the Top programs. So we're really excited here at THEC that we're making sufficient progress and we're meeting our goals. I did want to tell you about one of the programs that we made some really exciting movement on, and that's Common Core implementation. Many of you may have seen in the news over the last few months or weeks about K-12 teachers being trained in Common Core math. The department is training 13,000 teachers. Along with that, we've invited our 44 teacher preparation programs in higher education to attend those trainings, and we've also started a Common Core advisory board for higher ed. The advisory board is made up of deans, vice presidents of academic affairs, and faculty members in colleges of education and colleges of arts and sciences. These members of the advisory committee will steer the work of implementing the Common Core in higher ed. And what that means, there are a couple of implications. One, the Common Core will make our students better prepared as entering freshmen, and we'll also use the PARCC assessment, which is the final test for the end of course test for all of the Common Core subjects, to use as an anchor test for entrance into remedial and developmental courses, and then college credit-bearing courses as well. The other thing, which is more of the work of the steering committee, is making sure that our pre-service teacher programs are training pre-service teachers to implement the Common Core from the first day that they're in the classroom to teach. This is going to require a really in-depth look at all of the curriculum and teacher training programs and a revision for all 44 programs in the state. We've had national consultants call us asking to be a part of this work. Tennessee is the first state to do this, and so everyone's wanting to kind of get on board in the beginning, and we'll be the model for national implementation, which is really exciting that, again, Tennessee is at the forefront of implementing some of the most important work in education reform of our generation. So over the next couple of months, we'll be updating you on the work of the committee as well as the rest of the implementation of Race to the Top at THEC. Do you have any questions?
Questions?
Thank you.
I would just say congratulations on all the good work and the clean audit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well done.
It was a banner day.
Yes.
Definitely.
I guarantee you it was. Great. Congratulations. Thank you. Okay, our next item is a Gear Up College Access Challenge Grant and Latino Student Success Grant Status Report. Mr. Troy Grant will provide the report.
Good afternoon. Mr. Chairman, Dr. Rhoda, members of the Commission. I'm going to provide just a brief update of just some of the activities over the last quarter of the Office of P16 initiatives. First, I just want to point out we do have some new staff, really some transition that Dr. Rhoda alluded to earlier. Matt Freeman from the PPR staff has joined our staff as a data analyst. We've added a graduate assistant by the name of Kate Watts, right there in the back. And we have just hired a new assistant director for communications and partnerships by the name of Kate Derrick. She'll be starting with us the first full week of August. So we are gearing up, as it were, for our Gear Up grant, and we'll only do that pun once this presentation. And so we are very excited to bring these new people on board. Latino Student Success Grant, you might recall last October, we received word from the Lumina Foundation that Tennessee was awarded a Latino Student Success Grant. We were one of 12 communities, really organizations, awarded across the country. Our grant focused on increasing the number of Latinos in the Memphis-Shelby area who are accessing and completing higher education. Part of that award was a mandatory 8-month planning period that all grantees had to go through, where we had the opportunity to really refine what it was that we were doing and kind of bring new partners into the fold before submitting an integrated action plan that was approved by Lumina for just before we can move towards implementation. We submitted that in June and received word last week that we are green-lighted to go towards implementation. Just to kind of give you a picture of what that grant looks like, it is a 4-year grant. It's a total of $600,000. Our work will really reside in 3 primary areas. We will be doing a fair amount of public will building around Latino student success issues in the Memphis-Shelby area. Part of that will be an annual report card that really gives a checkup of what Latinos are doing in Memphis across several metrics around preparation, access, and completion of higher education. We will present that on an annual basis, and we will also have an outreach campaign focused on this community. The second tier of work really is about alignment of college access work. Currently, there is not a lot of work in this area focused on the Latino student. In Tennessee, we have the 4th fastest growing Latino population in the country. A lot of that is centered in the Memphis area. So part of what we're doing with these funds is to seed new work focused on Latino student access, but then also partnering with other organizations, expand the work that they are currently doing to focus in on this particular population. And we're doing that by replicating some best practices that we've developed over the last 2 years from the College Access Challenge grant, and then working with partners like Latino Memphis and Leadership Memphis with what they're already doing in the city. Then finally, we are seeding the development of a community-wide collaborative that will over time encompass these other 2 items. So the report card will eventually be produced by the collaborative. The alignment of this college access work will eventually live within this collaborative. And so we've reached out to partners like Mayor Wharton's office, Leadership Memphis, Latino Memphis, the YMCA, THEC. We have a great group around the table to begin this work. So we are excited to start moving forward immediately. Okay, the College Access Challenge, the Tennessee College Access and Success Network. You may recall, this is one of the 9 projects that Katrina alluded to. Using Race to the Top funds, we seeded the development of a statewide network focused on college access issues. The purpose of the network and the intent, really, from the very beginning, was to seed a network at a nonprofit with the intention of it spinning off into its own nonprofit over time. That happened this last month, and we trust that the network is in good hands. Former THEC employee Wendy Tabor is working there, and then Dr. Linda Durand is on the board, so we know they're going to do great work. And just another note, the network did recently award $500,000 in funds, Race to the Top funds, to nonprofit organizations and to school districts to create new or expand existing college access programs statewide. Over the life of those subgrants, they will serve over 22,000 students across the state. Okay, the College Access Challenge Grant. For those of you who are new to the Commission, the College Access Challenge Grant is a federal grant. It's a 1-year grant that is renewable every year. It is a formula grant. We submitted an application on July 5th for the next year's funding. It was a $2.8 million application. The program is going to be the same program that we've implemented thus far, just continuing to expand it. It has 2 different facets that I'll get into a little bit more detail here in a little bit. One, collegefortn.org implementation. The next is the College Mentor Corps that we'll discuss. I will say that we did add an additional facet this time, adult outreach component with the context of CCTA, with things that are happening with prior learning assessments. We're going to be able to put some funds around outreach materials, collateral materials, to kind of mobilize some of these items with these College Access Challenge grant funds. So we are very excited about that. On May 15th, we did submit our annual performance report to the U.S. Department of Ed, and if you allow, I'd like to go through just some of the results of that. The College Access Challenge Grant, again, up to this point has had 2 facets, collegefortn.org and the College Mentor Corps. collegefortn.org is our college access web portal. We saw an increase of 20 accounts, so it's their portfolios that are created, an increase of 21% over the last calendar year, both in student accounts and educator accounts. This is attributed to our outreach materials and also the professional development we've been offering to college administrators, college access professionals, counselors. In the last year, our staff, trainers, trained over 1,000 counselors counselors and college access professionals on implementing these resources to increase the number of students who are transitioning to higher education. So we're really pleased with the reach that we've been able to achieve with this project. The College Mentor Corps really is the more substantial monetarily part of this grant program. We partnered with 6 nonprofit organizations across the state. These are going to be organizations that you'll be familiar with: Tennessee Achieves, the AIR Foundation, Public Education Foundation in Chattanooga, the Oasis Center, Alliance for Business and Training in partnership with Northeast State, along with Southwest Tennessee Development District. The idea and the concept was that we would sub-grant funds to these nonprofit organizations. They would partner with high-need high schools and area community colleges to create a mentoring program that would focus in on high school students transitioning out of high school into post-secondary ed, but then also providing mentoring services to community college students, mentoring them through community college completion, then ultimately transition into four-year institutions where applicable. So just some results. We initially planned on serving about 4,000 students through the first full year of implementation. We nearly doubled that number with nearly 8,000 students receiving, high school students receiving services, and over 500 students, community college students, receiving services in the last year. Those services range from college application assistance, FAFSA completion, identifying scholarships. It really is the full kind of breadth of college access and success issues. On the community college level, it's resolving issues, matching students up with the appropriate resources on the community college campus, really helping to be an advocate and a guide for them on the campus. Nearly 8,500 students received some sort of college application, scholarship application, or FAFSA completion assistance from our mentors. And just to note, in many cases, these mentors are near peer. I mean, they're recent college graduates who are going back to the communities where they're from and meeting with students, not only within the context of the school, but meeting with families and religious organizations, all circling around college access. And just another note on that last slide, while that is the data that we have currently available in terms of the breadth of the program, when students start enrolling this fall, we're going to be able to dive down and look at the efficacy of these programs. So are we making any kind of gains in terms of college enrollment rates? And over time, do our students who are receiving these mentoring services, are they retaining at higher rates than their peers? And then we'll be also able to dive down a little bit deeper in terms of which services that we're providing make the biggest impact. And so we look forward to providing that information once it's available. At the last commission meeting, we had the pleasure of announcing that Tennessee was awarded a Gear Up grant. Gear Up stands for Gaining Early Awareness and Readiness for Undergraduate Programs. It's also a federal grant. It's a $29.5 million grant spread over 7 years. We had a 2005 grant that ended in 2011, so this grant will run from 2012 to 2019. The focus of this grant is to increase the number of low-income, high-needs students who complete high school and enroll and succeed in post-secondary education. We will provide direct services to students. So we're going to follow a cohort of 7,500 kids starting in their 7th grade year. So this fall, they'll be 7th graders. We will follow them and provide them services until they graduate. They're the class of 2018. And then we'll follow them into their first year of post-secondary education. In addition to, we will provide services to the seniors of our target high schools every year. Over the lifespan of the grant, we will serve in excess of 42,000 students. I mean, just beyond this, the scope of this is just huge, and the impact that we can make with these funds. Gear Up goals really do center around academic performance and preparedness, increasing the rate of high school graduation and college transition, and then making sure that our Gear Up families are aware of just how the post-secondary process works. They know what applications look like. They know how financial aid operates. These are, and I won't read through all of them, the Gear Up objectives that really do speak to each of those goals. The services that we will be providing are varied. We will have a site coordinator in each location where we'll be working. They will be providing and coordinating a suite of services, including ACT preparation, tutoring, mentoring, counseling. It really is the full gamut. In addition to, in alignment with the things that are happening with Common Core and the park assessment and the new 529 plan. This is an apparatus where we can improve implementation in our direct service schools, making sure that they are prepared for Common Core, that we're giving them the professional development they need above and beyond what is being offered on the state level to ensure that these initiatives are implemented and implemented well in our direct service schools. And so it is a fantastic opportunity for not just these schools, but for THEC to then partner with other agencies to really make sure that we are implementing these services well. We will provide the direct services through sub-grants to collaboratives. And so a collaborative, we're calling a collaborative, a partnership between high schools, the direct service high schools that are eligible, their feeder middle schools, at least 2 nonprofit organizations, and at least 1 post-secondary institution. The collaboratives will then apply to be one of our schools. We will have a review process. In order to be eligible, our high schools must meet a couple criteria. They have to be 50% free and reduced lunch populations, so they are high-need populations. They have to have 1 middle school that feeds into them that has 50% free and reduced lunch, and they can't be participating in an existing Gear Up program. And they also must be classified as either a priority school as determined by the department, so that's the lowest 5% performing schools in the state, or have a college going rate less than the state average. So those who are, that's where our target high schools are. We released the call for proposals for this project in June, and I'm really happy to say that we received nearly 50 letters of intent. This is representing more than 40 counties across the state. We have a great mix of urban and rural. It really will be a statewide program. This is our timeline. We will receive the proposals by August 15th. We'll send it to our readers, and we hope to award by mid to late September. And so by the next commission meeting, we'll be excited to share with you where we'll be doing this, implementing this grant across the state. So with that, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have about the projects that we're working on.
You mentioned, say for instance, you're a school that may not meet those requirements,
right,
those standards. But you may have students who could benefit from these Gear Up services. Are you saying that there are other Gear Up grants that are used in this state that tries to meet the needs of those students that may be in one of those students?
So great question. So there are 2 different Gear Up grant programs. There are state grants, which we are one, and then there are partnership grants, which are usually like an institution. The University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, for instance, has a partnership grant focused on their community. And so the way we designed our program was that we would provide direct services to these students. And so it wouldn't be that there are other Gear Up students that are in non-eligible schools who could receive these services, but I think over time what we hope to do is to identify what works well, and then make sure that we're replicating that across the state.
I just think this is going to be great, and to accomplishing the goals of a complete college Tennessee, it just feeds right into it. And so I commend you and your staff.
We're excited.
For this program. It'll be huge.
It is really. Yes, sir.
What would worry you the most about where you're at?
As it pertains to what? The Gear Up grant specifically?
Gear Up Tennessee.
I think in my mind, what we're asking our schools to do is pretty significant. I mean, we are asking our schools who, and not everywhere, but in often cases have been very insular in their operation, and we're asking them to formalize partnerships and collaboratives with key community stakeholders. And I think that that is a little bit outside of the realm of their norm in some cases. And so if there's, I think that one of the advantages, and this is a lesson learned from our last grant, we had a great first Gear Up grant, but we didn't go through a selection process quite like this. And I think this process is allowing us to let the schools put a little skin in the game and develop these collaboratives, and we're going to be selecting them on who does it the best and who has the strongest partnerships. And so I think that what my initial fear, and this is the unknown of just not knowing what we're going to receive in terms of proposals, was that this is a lot to ask schools to do. But I think it's important to the success of the program.
So, and would you provide advice to institutions of higher ed that want to get engaged in a similar program?
Oh, I think Well, in terms of this program, I think they're just reaching out to, I would be more than glad to let you know in the service areas of particular institutions which schools have expressed some sort of interest. I think it's just contacting the schools and engaging them in the potential process.
Thank you.
Of course, there is a very short window of.
Yes, the proposals are due August 15th.
But one other, I have observed a local community in my area, and it does require the local school district to, and the community, both to get involved, and along with the higher education. So with that partnership that's formed.
And so, for instance, each of these collaboratives will be creating a steering committee, a college access advisory committee that lends itself towards sustainability once these federal funds are gone. There's a matching requirement that starting in year 2, the collaborative has to match 20% of the funds we'll be subgranting. That amount will increase by 20% each year until the last 2 years of the grant. They'll be matching 100%. So we're trying to build in structures that really push these collaboratives to sustain this work once the federal funds are gone.
Thank you.
So what do you find unique or different or with regard to the previous Gear Up grant and how this has been implemented?
Sure. Our previous grant was rurally focused exclusively. We worked in 9 rural school districts. We went to them. They were identified using the Educational Needs Index, so they were the 9 neediest based on that indices that we worked with. So I think the structure in terms of implementation will be very similar. The services will be very similar. I think where we'll be working and then the structure of what they look like locally in terms of these collaboratives will be different. And I think we'll strengthen the sustainability possibilities for each of these. And so I really think that will be the hallmark of this grant. I think we'll do great work, but I think it'll be great work that'll be sustained over time.
Can I ask? Go ahead.
Well, just to build on that, and again, I think this proposal, when Troy and others on the staff, put it together and started talking about it among other staff, the part about engaging the nonprofit sector, I think is just, we will learn a lot. But it really gets that kind of buy-in from groups that aren't maybe necessarily just dealing with higher education. The sustainability part, again, I think that's a great dimension. But then also it brings in, wrong term, it brings in to bear the race to the top, which again, that's all about preparing students to get out of high school. So a lot of thought went into this.
Really looking forward to it.
Well, we've had recommended to us a couple times now with a lot of zeal and enthusiasm that we implement an approach toward using our alumni association to interact with middle schoolers in an effort to encourage them to go to a university or to a technical school or to a community college, particularly in areas of the state where young people often don't think about it, or they're coming from socioeconomically disadvantaged backgrounds. So I listened with interest to your presentation, but my question would be, what's been suggested is that we provide some sort of package of information and then set our alumni out to do this. But it seems to me that what you're saying is you need expertise and experience to be most beneficial at doing this, and we could goof it all up.
Oh, no, I don't know that I would say that. I think that what I would say, no, because if you look at the Tennessee Achieves model, for instance, the Tennessee Achieves model, they have great numbers, they have great success, they use professionals who do go through a little bit of training, but it's not necessarily extensive. They have really structured kind of meetings with their with the students that they're working with, and then there's a suite of information that they're delivering to those students. It's not necessarily that those are expert mentors who are interacting with their student. I think a perfect example of a Gear Up activity would be a high school partnering with the University of Tennessee, identifying alumni to match with their students. That would be a perfect Gear Up activity. And so I don't necessarily think that that would be the case. I think that there are models in Tennessee that show that you don't have to have a particular skill set in order to be an effective mentor and to have impact.
So this program would be one-on-one, or is it in a group phenomenon as well with a...
So in the school, we're going to be following, so the 7,500 kids we're following across the state. So let's say that we fund a collaborative. this upcoming 7th grade students in that school, we will serve all of that entire class. We will follow that class all the way through. In addition to, we'll be providing services to seniors every year. So it will be all the students in a particular grade level at a school all the way through 7th through 12th grade into their post-secondary transition, but then also the seniors every year at those schools.
Okay, thank you. It's very interesting.
Very.
You may, you may or may not be able to answer this because this is future. What I'm most concerned about is after this grant's completed, and you have these institutions and these communities that get in there successful with this, will there be reports published that maybe your local chambers of commerce or county executives or other regions can get a hold of the findings to see how they can form partnerships that will be successful after this grant is over with, but it gives them a model to go on for years to come? That's what I'm interested in.
Sure. Two responses to that. I think that are the nature of our model in general, lends itself to that sustainability once we're gone. The data requirements of this grant are significant. Every intervention, every service our students will receive will be documented, the quality of the service, the length of time of the service, and so we will be able to go back and then look at the transition rates, success rates of our students, and then identify which of these services had the biggest impact. And those are the types of things that we'll publish over time. In addition to, we are participating in a national consortium of 15 states who are collecting their student level data as a unit to do that same type of analysis. And this is something that we're proud to be involved in because nothing like this has happened in the country before where the states have collaborated on this level. So yes, we will be able to provide that information.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
We still have the video clip from the alumni meeting. If we could just extend this conversation by another 3 minutes. There is a video that was produced by the Lumina Foundation about the convening, when was that? Spring?
Yes, it was May.
In Memphis, right. And it was about the Latino Student Success Initiative. And it was held in Memphis, really hosted by A.C. Wharton, Mayor Wharton, to talk to other mayors about what mayors can do. It was about the Latino program, but it was broader than that. So,
From rural and urban, coastal and inland cities, mayors gathered with one goal in mind: educate their workforce, especially their Latino youth. Memphis hosted this national mayoral conference to explore challenges and share strategies in connecting education with economic development.
There is no excuse. There's no such thing as my city's too big, my city's too small to do any of this. The population of America is changing. There is no hiding place from that tidal wave of change. No excuses.
And no avoiding the critical problem of an equity gap and a degree gap among Latinos, the nation's fastest growing demographic. 21% have a post-secondary degree. That's compared to 30% for African Americans and 44% for white working-age Americans. That's why Lumina Foundation's president and CEO, Jamie Marisotis, says cities must take the lead.
I think mayors get it. They have to play in the sandbox of education. They understand that they have the power of the bully pulpit.
The frustration for the mayor of Del Rio, Texas, is only 18% of his student population has a 2- or 4-year degree.
You can only flip so many hamburgers. So we're not doing a justice to our children by not providing the resources for them.
He told fellow mayors college access and affordability are stumbling blocks for his largely Latino community.
And right now, we're just dragging along, going along with status quo, and that's not good enough.
In our area, the businesses are ready to go. Everybody's ready to go. The thing is how do we get that information out to the Latino population?
Informing Latino families, helping them understand the college application and financial aid process is one piece of the puzzle a 4-year-old grassroots organization is tackling head-on. It's called Tennessee Achieves, and it targets low-income, first-generation high school students.
This year we had a 90% FAFSA filing rate amongst 6,500 students, which was really incredible.
Their mentoring and scholarships also result in an 87% fall to spring college retention rate.
You can nail that to the wall. That's hope.
I have no problem about borrowing ideas from other municipalities.
That is the objective, a cross-pollination of ideas, an ongoing national conversation among mayors whose communities received Lumina's Latino Student Success Grants. One important lesson that Memphis has learned.
Quit finding reasons why you cannot as a city and find all the reasons where you must do it.
That was it. So again, thank you to Troy and the K-16 initiative staff, and all the partners they've brought together.
All right. Thank you. All right. Okay. Our last item is just to give you an update about the Fall Commission meeting, which will be on the 15th of November. Anything to say about that meeting or anything?
No, but I do have one other announcement. I hate to end the message of the meeting on a downside, that we're losing a very key member of our staff, Nick Cook. Nick is with us. There he is. There he is. No. He has been working with Stephanie and Julie with the post-secondary authorization issues for us, and he is leaving us to join a private law firm where he will be, or a firm where he will be the in-house counsel. So, Nick, we sure appreciate all you've done for us. We wish you well.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, we thank you for your attendance, and if there's no other business, we are adjourned. Thank you.